Washingtonian Magazine once referred to Jeremy Gifford, the founder of Walters, as someone who knows how to pack a bar. Walters is located across the street from Nationals Park near the center field gate next to South Capitol Street.
This episode is brought to you by Microsoft Azure. Turn your ideas into reality with an Azure free account. Get everything you need to develop apps across cloud and hybrid environments, scale workloads, create cloud-connected mobile experiences, and so much more. Discover what you can create with popular services free for 12 months. Learn more at azure.com. That's AZURE.com. And sign up for a free account to start building in the cloud today.
Here's the wind now. Left-hander deals, fastball right down the middle, strike three called. DJ Herz strikes out the side here in the fifth inning. Strikeout number 6, 7, and 8 in this game.
Aaron Bummer with his first pitch coming home to Abrams. CJ lines one on one hop and gets by the second baseman Merrifield out into right field. Young racing for the plate and he's going to score. And the Nationals lead 4-1. On a tough defensive inning for Merrifield. That was a tough chance on an in-between hop to his glove side. He couldn't come up with it. His error opened the door, and that one off his glove allows the third run of the inning to score.
And welcome to Nats Chat for Monday, August 26, 2024. What is Dylan Cruz Day in the nation's capital as we anticipate the Nats on Monday promoting their consensus top prospect outfielder Dylan Cruz to the majors, along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who was at Truist Park in Cobb County, Georgia. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. The truth is that the Atlanta Braves have run the National League East for years now. The Braves have won the division for each of the last 6 seasons, 2018 through 2023. The last time that the Braves did not win the NL East, the Dusty Baker-managed Nationals won the NL East. So it stands out that the rebuilding Nats have clinched winning the majority of their games against the Braves in a regular season for the first time since 2017. Sunday afternoon, a 5-1 win at the Braves to avoid a 3-game sweep. The Nats for this regular season now are 59-72, including an impressive 7-4 against the Braves. This installment of the Nat Chat podcast is brought to us by the best legal recruiter in the Washington, D.C. market, Mason Kalfas. Step up to a World Series winner and hire the best legal recruiter out there. Check out Mason's website today, zenithlegal.com, or call or text Mason anytime, 202-486-3535. The Nats on Sunday afternoon got yet another impressive outing from starting pitcher DJ Herz. The Nats on Sunday afternoon at last got some timely hits. The Nats on Sunday afternoon demonstrated, wait for it, good base running. But Mark, off us on the last installment of the podcast discussing how the Nats as a team this season really have not demonstrated many signs of progress. I tell you, the team clinching a winning record against the Braves this regular season certainly does stand out as a sign of progress.
Yeah, I think it matters. It's one step of many that they need to take to get back to ultimately being a contender again. And let's be clear, they've been awful against the Phillies and the Mets this year and against the Phillies for several years. So they're going to have to get over those hurdles here sooner or later. But to do it against the Braves this year, I think it is an important step. And what I loved about this game in particular is that who did it. We talked all along about it. It's not just what happens, but who does it. Okay, they had 7 rookies out of their 13 guys playing in this game who were rookies, including 6 starters when you count the starting 9 and the starting pitcher. And a bunch of those guys are the ones who made a difference to win this game. DJ Herz, Drew Millas, Jacob Young, Eduardo Salazar out of the bullpen. That's what you love to see. We've been waiting for a long time. When's the youth movement coming? When are these guys going to step up and perform? Again, long way to go, but this was a big step, I think. And as we know, there's an even bigger step coming on Monday when another rookie is added to the mix.
Well, the Nats did lose this series, but they got really good starting pitching in each of the 3 games, and that stands out maybe as much as anything when it comes to the particulars of this series. You go back to the 3-2 10-inning loss at the Braves on Friday night. Mackenzie Gore, really good to see him do as he did, 1 run in 6 innings. The 4-2 loss at the Braves on Saturday night, Jake Irvin, 2 runs in 5 1/3 innings. And then DJ Herz in this 5-1 win at the Braves on Sunday afternoon. Good yet again, 5 scoreless innings, 8 strikeouts. He gave up just 1 hit, which was a single. He did issue 3 walks into hit by pitch, and he over his 5 innings did throw a lot of pitches, 92 pitches, 58 strikes, 34 balls, but 27 of the pitches came in a scoreless bottom of the first, and we emphasize that word scoreless. That was a scoreless bottom of the first despite Herz issuing a hit by pitch and 2 walks, but he navigated his way out of that first inning. Ultimately, yes, only went 5 innings, but 5 shutout innings at the mighty Braves with 8 more strikeouts. We've been talking about the consistency that DJ Herz has been demonstrating. Your updated numbers for Herz since the Nats send him back to AAA Rochester for that break of July 8th to July 23rd. 7 starts, 10 earned runs in 34 1/3 innings. That translates to an ERA at 2.62. 42 strikeouts in 34 1/3 innings. That translates to a strikeouts per 9 innings of 11.01. 7 starts is more than a fifth of a regular season for a starting pitcher. DJ Herz over this 7-start stretch, ERA at 2.62, strikeouts per 9 innings of 11.01. He is on quite the run right now.
He is, and I think we may get to the end of this and say, okay, there were some blips along the way, but there's been a lot more good than bad. His overall ERA for the season is now 3.84. Who wouldn't take that out of a rookie in his first shot in the big leagues? And it's a little bit of a bumpy path sometimes to get there. His first innings have been gray hair inducing, let's just say. And this one was high up there among them with 2 walks and a hit batter, and he loads the bases. But he gets out of it. He's at 27 pitches, so it puts him behind the 8 ball for the rest of the day, and that's why he ends up only going 5 innings. But he is showing an ability to overcome that. And once he finds his groove, he's been really good. And he had 3 pitches working for him in this game. The fastball and the changeup, that's always been his bread and butter because they look the same coming out of his hand. But he also had a really good slider going in this game. And you get 3 pitches that are quality that you can throw in any count like that, you're going to have success no matter who you're facing. I thought this was a really impressive job by him. I know the Braves lineup is not what it normally has been because of injuries, but he's still facing some really good hitters in there and came through big time.
And I loved how the Nats did in terms of starting pitching in this series. We've been talking about where the Nats starting pitching has been at, certainly not at its best in recent weeks. This was a really good series by these guys, so excellent to see that. And obviously another stiff test is coming with this upcoming 3-game series against the New York Yankees. The Nats bullpen on Sunday afternoon. So the bullpen overall in this series was not great, but the bullpen on Sunday afternoon did do a good job. 3 Nats relievers combined to allow 1 run in 4 innings. The 1 run came off Jacob Barnes. He in the bottom of the 6th gave up a 1-out solo homer by Matt Olson to center field to tie the game at 1. The homer going a projected 429 feet per Statcast, but then more good work from Eduardo Salazar, 1 2/3 scoreless in hitless innings with 2 swinging strikeouts. And Kyle Finnegan, yes, he still is on the team. He finally made an appearance again, and he was good. 1 1/3 scoreless innings with 2 strikeouts for the save. But I got to tell you, I think Salazar stuck out to me as much as anything. We go back to what he did in the 10-inning loss on Friday night, officially allowing 1 run, which was unearned in 1 2/3 innings. But of course, as we have discussed, he did nothing wrong in that game. He faced 5 batters, got 5 outs, got charged with a run due to the walk-off throwing error by C.J. Abrams with Salazar out of the game. But Salazar is really showing well for himself here lately.
This is now 13 scoreless innings for the month of August, and I'm calling it scoreless because that 1 run, as you just outlined, I don't care. I'm not putting it on his account at all. This guy has really started to show something here. He's got good stuff, obviously. He's showing now he can duplicate it, multiple times in a series, facing the same hitters. Again, he's got strike him out stuff, especially his slider. So that's been great to see. And as we've been talking about, the trade of Harvey, the trade of Floro, the injury of Law, who is going to step up and pitch for them in a setup role? I can't say that I expected this to be the guy we'd be talking about, but he has absolutely been outstanding for them. And you hope it's actually a sign of bigger things to come. We'll find out. I mean, this is a waiver claim from them, a midseason waiver claim who had bounced around multiple organizations. So I don't want to get too excited here, but the stuff we've seen, at least since he's been up here, has been quite impressive.
Well, the Nats got Hunter Harvey on a waiver claim, so perhaps Eduardo Salazar is the new Hunter Harvey.
Are you a lawyer that hates your boss even more than you hate jerks in Profar? Does your law firm always fail, just like the San Diego Padres? Well, Nats Chat sponsor Mason Kalfas is the best legal recruiter in the DC legal market, and you should give him a call. Mason specializes in working with law firm partners, associates, and senior government lawyers in antitrust, securities enforcement, energy, and life sciences. Mason is the founder of Zenith Legal, a 10-person legal recruiting firm with recruiters in D.C., New York, Philadelphia, and other cities. Mason has placed partners and associates in over half of the AmLaw 100 law firms. All conversations are 100% confidential and focused holistically on your career goals. Some lawyers change jobs for more money, some change jobs because of client conflicts, and some change because their colleagues are losers like the Padres and Phillies. Step up to a World Series winner and hire the best legal recruiter out there for free. Call Mason Kalfas today at 202-486-3535.
This episode is brought to you by Experian. Are you paying for subscriptions you don't use but can't find the time or energy to cancel them? Experian could cancel unwanted subscriptions for you, saving you an average of $270 per year and plenty of time. Download the Experian app. Results will vary. Not all subscriptions are eligible. Savings are not guaranteed. Paid membership with connected payment account required.
So the infield stays in with Millas at third. 2-2 the count on Young. And here's the delivery. Swinging a line drive over the leaping third baseman. Base hit down the line toward the corner. Millas will score the ball all the way to the fence. Young around first on his way to second with a double. And the Nationals lead 3-1. RBI double for Jacob Young. That's his 29th RBI of the season. And the Nationals have 2 on the board here in the top of the 7th.
The Nationals offense in this 5-1 win at the Braves on Sunday afternoon. So the Nats in this game scored 5 runs on just 8 hits. So you could say, hey, that's rather efficient. And actually it was. So the 8 hits, a double, and 7 singles. The Nats worked 3 walks. The Nats went 2 for 8 with runners in scoring position. You had 3 Nats each with 2 hits in this game, and it's worth exploring how each guy did. Jacob Young. So we know the deal with Jacob Young. Excellent defensively, excellent as a base runner. It's the batting that makes you say to yourself, okay, is he truly an everyday outfielder? Well, we know that things may be about to change for the Nats outfield, but it sure seems like Jacob Young will remain the Nats every game center fielder. Dylan Cruz primarily has played center field this season in the minors, but also has played some right field. The belief is that he'll be playing mostly, if not exclusively, right field. And a lot of that belief has to do with the season that Jacob Young is having. Young in this game on Sunday afternoon as the Nats number 9 batter went 2 for 4 with an RBI double and a single. Young in the Nats 3-run 7th, a 1-out RBI double to left field for a 3-1 Nats lead despite having been down in the count at 1.02. And Young in the Nats 1-run 9th, a 2-out opposite field single to right field. As we have said, if he could just hit a little more, you'd really feel good about what the Nats have and Jacob Young. His OPS for this regular season at the major league level is just 640, but he did well actually in multiple games in this series as a batter. I know made some outs on the base pass over the first 2 games, but some good stuff from Jacob Young on Sunday afternoon.
That double was so big for him and for the team. They had been waiting all weekend for something like that to happen. That happened seconds after they score the go-ahead run on a wild pitch. And then the very next pitch, he keeps it going and lines the ball to left field for the double. So that they needed it. He needed it. That was clutch if ever there was one. And I loved his base running in the 9th. That was a single to start the rally with 2 outs. And then C.J. Abrams hits this little blooper in the shallow center field. And Young just keeps motoring around. Now, he said he still doesn't know what happened behind him. The play's all behind him. Ricky Gutierrez picked it up immediately, had him going all along. Jacob said, without even knowing what was going on behind him, he really hoped that it would be a scenario in which he could keep going. And he did. And that was one of several really good base running plays they had in this game. Agreed. We know the defense is going to be fantastic in center field. He's just got to do enough in the right moments at the plate. And he did that in this one with 2 big hits, one of them in a huge spot, and some really effective base running at the right moment.
Yeah, and you take a step back and you examine Jacob Young. He's a rookie. He's a guy who the Nats took in the 7th round of the 2021 MLB draft out of the University of Florida. And whether you go by Baseball Reference WAR or Fangraphs WAR, he's number 2 among all Nats position players in WAR for this regular season, 2.6 per Baseball Reference. So even with the not so good hitting, his defense and base running have been so good to where he's second on the team in WAR per Baseball Reference at Fangraphs. So you give the guy a ton of credit. In a lesser year for National League rookies, he would be getting Rookie of the Year consideration. He's not going to get it this season because there are so many good rookies, but like he's having this standout season.
Here's some real context for you with that WAR stat you just mentioned with him. The Nationals have not had a non-first round pick compile 2 WAR for them, not just in one season, but across their Nationals career, since Michael A. Taylor, who was drafted in 2009. And Jacob Young is surpassing that this year alone as a 7th round pick. And they may get this also from Mitchell Parker and Jake Irvin, both non-first round picks. So after going like 15 years without a non-first round pick compiling 2 WAR for them over multiple seasons, they may end up with 3 guys this year doing that. Talk about where one of the best signs of progress in this organization, something we've been waiting for forever to happen. We're actually seeing that happen this year with 3 guys who, to be fair, were drafted by the previous regime, the scouting director, Chris Klein and his department, and then developed by the current group. So it's not all just about the changes they made in the last year. That's been a great thing to see, and you hope that continues.
That WAR stat is so damning of so many things. I mean, that is really bad that stat was a reality. But it looks like it finally is changing. By the way, you mentioned good base running by the Nats. I mentioned that too early in the show. Luis Garcia Jr., how about what he did early in this game? So he is an Nats starting second baseman and number 3 batter, went 1 for 4 with a single. Garcia in an Nats 1-run first, a 1-out single through the right side of the infield on a 1-2 pitch. And then he, with himself on first base and James Wood on third base, made a very high IQ base running play.
The pitch, swung on, ground ball, gets through Lopez, gets right to Merrifield. Now they're going to throw to first. They get the out there, and caught in a rundown is Garcia. He will be tagged out, but Wood has scored. It'll be a double play, but the Nationals take the lead by the score of 1-0.
We, a few days ago, heard Davey Martinez in a postgame session with you guys sing the praises of Luis Garcia Jr., his maturation, how he's grown as a player. A moment like that to me speaks to that. Garcia has gone from a guy who's viewed as, immature, knucklehead factor, etc., to making a high IQ play like that. What a job by him.
We've talked so much about his hitting. We've talked about his defense. His base running has been outstanding this year, way more efficient than almost anybody else. And he runs a lot, even though you don't think of him as a classically fast base runner. I loved that play from him, realizing in the moment what he could do to drag it out, to force the Braves to get the force out at first and then get him in the rundown, which made it possible for James Wood to score. It's not just that Wood scored before he was tagged. It's because the Braves got the force out first and Garcia is no longer a force out. That's why it becomes now a timing play instead of a traditional double play. And so that was such a good job by him. And I also couldn't help but laugh at myself and think now, okay, when the Nats make bad outs on the bases, the natural inclination of so many people out there is to say, Gerardo Parra, it's all his fault. Davey Martinez, it's all his fault. They can't coach these guys. Well, when they make a really heads-up play like that and the other ones later in this game, are we just praising the players for that? Or are we going to say, you know what, maybe the coaches deserve some credit for that? I don't know the right answer to that. All I'm saying is if you're going to blame the coaches when they do something wrong, then you can't only credit the players when they do something right. It goes both ways.
Yeah, I guess it just feels like there have been so many more of the bad moments than of the good moments, which is probably what most people are thinking. But you tend to remember the negative moments and you don't necessarily even notice the good moments. So I think that there is that aspect to it as well. Hey, Al Galdi here to tell you about the latest great offer from Window Nation for listeners of the Nats Chat podcast. Get 2 free windows for every 2 windows that you buy, plus pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years, plus get an additional $250 credit. If you have been thinking about getting new windows, now is the time. Take advantage of this offer from Window Nation. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. Window Nation windows are outstanding. 96% customer satisfaction rating. 96% of Window Nation windows installed require no follow-up service, and Window Nation has received more than 33,000 5-star reviews on Google. Take advantage of this offer. 2 free windows for every 2 windows that you buy. Plus, pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years and get an additional $250 credit. 866-90Nation or windownation.com. Tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. 866-90Nation or windownation.com, and tell Window Nation that Al Galdi sent you.
Here is the set and the pitch. Abrams swings and loops one into shallow right center field. That one is going to drop out of the reach of Merrifield. On his way to third is Young. They're going to wave him home. Here comes the relay to the plate and the tag. He is safe. The throw was not held by the catcher Murphy, and then Young didn't realize it immediately, hadn't touched the plate, and so Chavez was signaling Murphy, get the ball and tag him, and then Young realized it and touched the plate before Murphy could pick up the ball. And the Nationals lead 5-1.
We talked about one Nat who had 2 hits in this game, Jacob Young. Another Nat who had 2 hits in this game was C.J. Abrams. And man, is he in an odd place right now. So I want to first give him credit. He did provide more offensive production. Abrams, in this 5-1 win on Sunday afternoon as the Nats starting shortstop and number 1 batter, 2 for 5 with 2 first-pitch RBI singles and a stolen base. Abrams in the Nats' 3-run 7th, 1-out first-pitch RBI single into right field for a 4-1 Nats lead and to steal a second base. Abrams in the Nats' 1-run 9th, a 2-out first-pitch RBI single to shallow right center field for a 5-1 Nats lead. As you may recall, he also had 2 hits in Game 2 of this series. But also for Abrams on Sunday afternoon was another error. He committed an error in each of the 3 games in this series, despite not starting Game 1 of this series. Abrams on Sunday afternoon, bottom of the 9th, a 2-out fielding error. He botched the fielding of a grounder off the bat of Gio Urshela. You go back to what happened in the Nats' loss at the Braves on Saturday night. Abrams in that game committed a fielding error, and Abrams in the loss on Friday night committed that walk-off throwing error. He is in a bizarre place. He's in a defensive slump pretty clearly. He still does not have good offensive numbers for this month of August. He had 4 hits in this series. His OPS for this month is at just 642. He's hitting for like no power this month. It's concerning. You know, he alternated between good month, bad month. He now is in the midst of a second consecutive bad month, and something that we had felt pretty good about. The defensive metrics are mixed, but his defense we had felt pretty good about. That now is not in a good place.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried about what's going on there with him. I don't think he's in a great headspace right now, would be my guess, because those plays in the field, these are routine plays, and he's looking like a guy who is thinking about it as it's happening, and that's the last thing you ever want to have happen. He's got to clean this up and quick before it really becomes a lingering issue. At the plate, there were some better at-bats. It was good to see him come through in some moments in this game, but he's still not all the way back, and as you said, he is not hitting for power either. This is a huge final stretch for him. All of a sudden, what was looking like not just an all-star season for him, but a truly breakthrough face of the franchise kind of season, one of the best young players in the game, it's in danger of falling apart on him. And it's why you got to wait till the end of 162 before you evaluate this stuff. You can't make any proclamations prior to that point. I hope he does get it together soon because we know how talented he is. We know how important he is to what they're trying to do here. Maybe you would hope in some ways that having Wood here, having Cruz now coming up, having Garcia do as well as he's done, that there's maybe a little less pressure on Abrams, or at least less spotlight on him to have to be the guy. But he needs to figure this thing out. And this is a big test for him. And I feel like in some ways it's more mental than physical for him to overcome this stuff and show that he can finish out the season strong.
And I mentioned his odd defensive statistical profile. He, coming into Sunday, was tied for dead last in the majors in StatCast outs above average, minus 13. So it's not like he has been kind of sort of bad for that metric. He's one of the worst defensive players in baseball for that metric. Jacob Young, by the way, was number 1 at plus 19. But also for Abrams coming into Sunday was him having a 1.2 defensive WAR per Baseball Reference. So that is good. So again, it's this very mixed profile. We've talked about this, how it's hard to really truly know how you should feel about Abrams' defense this season. But lately, clearly, the defense has not been good. And then the third Nat who had 2 hits in this game was the team's starting catcher for this game. Drew Millas. Drew Millas, who was called up from AAA Rochester as the corresponding roster move to the Nats, putting Alex Call on the 10-day injured list on Saturday afternoon. It was Millas and not Riley Adams who got the start at catcher in this game. Keibert Ruiz, by the way, was the Nats starting designated hitter. Millas, as the Nats number 8 batter, did have 2 hits, so 2 for 4 with 2 singles, top of the 5th, leadoff first pitch single into center field. Millas in the Nats 3-run 7th, a 1-out single up the middle. So when it comes to that corresponding roster move for the promotion of Dylan Cruz on Monday, is the betting favorite now the Nats optioning Riley Adams back to Rochester?
Yeah, it has not been announced yet as we tape this, but I have a hunch that that move is coming here fairly soon. And it's unfortunate for Riley Adams, who, it's weird. He's gotten some opportunities, but not consistent opportunities. And so on the one hand, you say, how can you really know if you're not getting a chance to play regularly? On the other hand, you say, if you're going to be the backup catcher in the big leagues and you're playing once or maybe twice a week, you're going to have to make the most of the opportunities you do get, whether that's defensively or whether it's at the plate offensively. And he has just not done that enough. And so when Millas got called up, that to me was the first sign that maybe something's going on. When Millas got the start on Sunday, that was the second sign to me. And then when he delivered for them and had a good game on top of everything else, that really kind of put the writing on the wall. And so we'll see. They could come back and have 3 catchers again before the end of the season, maybe. But I think for now, it's pretty clear that Drew Millas is the number 2 catcher. And now we'll see, how much does he actually play? Is it once a week? Does he get another start in there somewhere? Does Ruiz DH? Does he actually get a day off here and there? We'll have to see how it goes. Millas has hit really well at AAA this year. He hasn't done a lot at the big leagues, but there's still, I think, enough feeling about him as a defensive catcher and knowing what he's done offensively in the minor leagues to say, let's get a little more look at him and see what he could do for you. I'll be interested to see how much he plays here the rest of the way.
The Riley Adams, Drew Millas scenario this season has been almost comical. June 2nd, the Nats announced having optioned Adams to Rochester and having recalled Millas from Rochester. July 3rd, the Nats announced having recalled Adams from Rochester and having optioned Millas to Rochester. And now essentially you're seeing the flip-flop for the third time. It's not direct, but, just a few days after the Nats bring up Millas, they're going to be optioning Adams back down to Rochester. It's like the Nats can't decide who they like most, or you could argue who they like least, because it doesn't seem like the Nats are in love with either guy. And you wonder how many more opportunities we're going to see Riley Adams get at the major league level with this team. Riley Adams, of course, acquired in the fire sale of 2021. The team has paid lip service to this notion of playing him at first base, has never shown any real true commitment to doing that. He barely plays now this season. I wonder, beyond this season, what his future with the organization is.
Yeah, he's going to be arbitration eligible this winter. Now, not that he would make a whole lot through that process because he hasn't done a whole lot in the big leagues, but that is something to keep an eye on this winter if they need to clear roster spots, if he could be a non-tender candidate, or if not that, maybe the guy who comes to spring training but is on the line in spring training and because he'll be out of options, could get cut during spring training. I feel bad for him. He's been a great guy through all of this stuff. He works really hard at his craft and just has not been able to really take off. And again, it's tough when you don't play a lot, but that's unfortunately part of the position. It's one of the toughest positions in baseball, actually, I think, being a backup catcher, because opportunities are few and far between, and you have to find a way to deliver when you do get those chances, and he just has not done that enough.
So next up for the Nats are the Yankees and is the Major League regular season debut of Dylan Cruz. Game 1, Monday evening, 6:45. Mitchell Parker will be the Nats starting pitcher. Game 2, Tuesday evening at 6:45. Patrick Corbin will be the Nats starting pitcher. Game 3, Wednesday evening at 6:45. Mackenzie Gore will be the Nats starting pitcher. Monday night will be an exciting night at Nationals Park. I'm interested to see what the attendance is. Yes, Dylan Cruz. Yes, the Yankees, who figured to draw, but also yes, weeknight game. And also, yes, locally here, schools are starting back up. I know Monday is day 1 of the school year for Montgomery County, Maryland, and I know some other counties have already started. So, when James Wood debuted, the attendance did not blow you away. And so I suppose we should temper our expectations for the attendance on Monday night. But those who are going to be attending the game, I think there's going to be a lot of juice in that ballpark. And I tell you, if Cruz does well, if Wood does well, that is going to be some night in our nation's capital.
there's going to be some real juice in the park, whatever the attendance number is. I don't think at last check, I don't think it's supposed to sell out, although it could, over the course of the day on Monday. There's going to be a lot of Yankee fans there. It may be 50-50 even. We understand how that works. That's not fans driving down from New York. It's not a Philly invasion or anything like that. There are a lot of transplanted New Yorkers who live in the area, lifelong Yankee fans, and this is their chance to see them in D.C. So you know how that goes. Pretty much everywhere they play, that's going to be the case. But the star power that's going to be out there on the field for both teams, which is a nice thing to be able to say when you're talking Nationals versus Yankees, is a big spotlight. And for Dylan Crews, as we've been talking about, I'm really interested to see how he handles that spotlight. I talked to a bunch of guys over the weekend about him who have played with him in the minor leagues and seen him along the way. And they all say the same things, that they say he plays so hard at everything he does. He doesn't ever back off a play or give up an at-bat. He is determined to be the best that he can possibly be. He rises to the occasion in the biggest moments. We know what he did in college. I feel like these kind of situations are made for him. Now, it's the big leagues, and you're facing Nestor Cortez and whoever else the Yankees have going on Monday out of the bullpen, and it's 30, 35,000 fans, whatever, in a big league stadium, which he has never done before. So maybe you don't want to, expect too much out of it. But to see him and James Wood in the lineup together, and to see Juan Soto coming back for the first time with the Yankees, and oh, by the way, as much as the focus is on those three, guess who else is coming? Aaron Judge, who's already hit 2 homers on Sunday to get to 51 on the season. And he might be the biggest and brightest star out of everybody who's going to be there. This is going to be fun, and it's going to be the kind of scene I don't think we've had at Nationals Park in a while, with that kind of star power, not just on one side, but on both sides.
Well, and I think something else with Crews is, so he played his college baseball at LSU. That is a big boy collegiate baseball program. It's interesting when you look at where major leaguers went to college. You have a wide range of colleges, of collegiate programs. We've come to know about San Jacinto Community College in Texas, right? So you have like Mitchell Parker, who went there. And then you have Dylan Crews, who went to LSU. You play baseball for LSU. That's a big deal. You're performing in front of big crowds. You're performing in front of a fan base that is, shall we say, demanding, okay? SEC fans are a unique bunch. And so if you can handle that and thrive in that environment, I'm not saying it's the same as the majors, but, it's not that far off. And so if you are used to that, I would think that transitioning to playing in the majors and dealing with that pressure and that spotlight is made easier. So hopefully that speaks to Crews thriving under the spotlight come Monday evening and moving forward. This installment of the Nats Chat podcast brought to us by the best legal recruiter in the D.C. market, Mason Kalfas. Step up to a World Series winner and hire the best legal recruiter out there. Check out Mason's website today, zenithlegal.com, or call or text Mason anytime, 202-486-3535. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. You can email the show. We always enjoy hearing from you. natschatpodcast@gmail.com. We invite you to check out our website, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat podcast t-shirt. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat podcast.
On a 3-2, Crews swings and hammers the ball, center field, and that ball is out of here. All it took was one. A debut weekend dinger for Dylan Crews, and the Fred Nats lead. Can't keep him down for very long. 4:16, 105 off the bat.